A forward deployed engineer is like a military strategist sending out small, specialized units to a battlefield with clear objectives. I mean, just let that powerful analogy sink in for a second. We aren't talking about hiding out in a cubicle, quietly pushing updates to some distant server. No, we are talking about an elite, high-stakes engineering role right on the front lines of business and technology.
So, why does this role even exist? Well, to understand that, we have to look at a massive industry bottleneck known as the last mile problem. You see, today, literally anybody can buy an off-the-shelf AI model, but making that model actually work safely and securely with a company's private, incredibly messy, and often legacy databases, that is incredibly hard. This integration bottleneck is exactly what gives the forward-deployed engineer their massive, highly sought-after value in today's tech landscape.
Welcome to this explainer. Today, we are entirely demystifying the forward deployed engineer, or FDE. Consider this your ultimate career guide if you're an ambitious tech professional looking to understand or maybe even pivot into one of the most dynamic, lucrative, and demanding roles in the entire software industry. Here's our roadmap for today. First, the last mile problem. 2, meet the elite FDE. 3, FDE versus traditional engineers. 4, the unconventional FDE skill set. 5, FDE salary and trajectory. And finally, 6, your FDE career roadmap. All right, Section 1, the last mile problem, and exactly why demand for FDEs is absolutely exploding. Right now, we're seeing unprecedented AI and large language model adoption spreading like wildfire across literally all sectors. But here's the reality check. This entire AI boom, it's completely useless to enterprises without engineers who can actually implement the technology into real-world legacy environments. Off-the-shelf solutions almost never perfectly fit a real customer's customized workflow. This friction has triggered massive hiring pushes from industry giants like OpenAI, Anthropic, Palantir, and major IT firms like TCS, who are actually planning to hire nearly 9,000 FTEs. They desperately need the talent that can bridge this gap. Moving on to Section 2, meet the elite FDE. The 3 roles in one. So what is this job, really? Basically, an FTE is a mashup of 3 roles that rarely coexist in one person. You're looking at about 80% software engineer, roughly 10% consultant, and 10% product strategist. You have to understand client needs and feed that back into the product roadmap, sure. But I really want to emphasize this. You still spend the vast majority of your time rolling up your sleeves and writing custom production-level code. The crucial takeaway here is that successful FDEs are what we call T-shaped engineers. Think of the vertical bar of that T as representing your deep, uncompromising technical expertise, coding, system design, deployment. But that horizontal bar, that's your broad execution ability. It's your customer empathy, your business acumen, and your product judgment. Honestly, you need to be able to talk to a C-suite executive just as effectively as you interface with an API. Section 3, FDE versus traditional engineers. The great contrast. If we put these roles side by side, it reveals a pretty stark contrast. A traditional software engineer usually focuses on core product infrastructure. They own a deep system layer, and ambiguity is relatively low because, well, things are scoped by product specs. Then you have a solutions engineer, who often focuses heavily on pre-sales and demos. But the FD, their main focus is building custom solutions directly for clients. They own the full stack for that specific implementation, and the ambiguity is off the charts. Often, the initial requirements are entirely undefined when an FD first walks into the room. And because of that, how you measure success completely changes. For a traditional software engineer, success is often about feature velocity, code quality, and getting all your tests to pass, right? Your job is largely done when the code merges. But for an FDE, success is measured by customer adoption, deployment speed, and measurable impact on the client's workflow. An FDE's job is definitely not done when the code merges. It's only done when the customer achieves actual, tangible business outcomes. And achieving those outcomes, that often requires getting your hands dirty right in the customer's own environment. 75%. That is the extreme amount of time some forward-deployed engineers spend traveling. They're frequently working directly on-site, literally sitting side by side with end users to deeply understand their messy, undocumented workflows so they can build something that actually solves the real problem. Section 4, the unconventional FD skill set. Coding is just the starting line. Now, don't misunderstand me here. The technical bar is very real. An FDE is expected to have deep fluency across a massive stack. We're talking back-end languages like Python or Go, React on the front end, cloud infrastructure as code via Terraform, complex API integrations, data pipelines, and increasingly applied AI, like RAG applications and LLM integration. You literally have to be a technical powerhouse to even qualify. But here is the real secret of the FDE interview process. Interviewers actually spend a disproportionate amount of time testing these 4 non-coding skills. Why? Because this is what makes or breaks an FDE out in the field. You need customer problem discovery to find the real issue behind a client's vague request. You need ambiguity resolution to turn those messy complaints into solid technical specs. You have to prioritize business outcomes over perfect technical elegance, and you absolutely must be able to manage stakeholders ranging from old-school IT admins all the way up to the CEO. These soft skills, that's what actually secures the job offer. Section 5, FDE salary and trajectory. Following the money. Let's talk numbers, because forward deployed engineer compensation has a remarkably wide spread and a significantly higher ceiling than traditional software engineering. While defense and aerospace firms might have a baseline around $120,000 to $150,000, and Glassdoor averages hover near $156,000, the high end is staggering. Senior FDEs at frontier AI labs like OpenAI or Anthropic can see total compensation packages exceeding $400,000 when you factor in those massive equity packages. The financial upside for this demanding work is just immense. And the types of companies eagerly hiring for this role are incredibly diverse. If you work at an AI or data platform, your day-to-day focus is deploying cutting-edge LLMs and AI agents. If you join a defense tech firm like Palantir or Anduril, you could literally be integrating autonomous systems or optimizing military logistics in the field. Or in enterprise software, you're focused on custom workflow integrations. Your daily reality as an FDE shifts dramatically based entirely on the sector you choose. Finally, Section 6, your FDE career roadmap, how to make the pivot. It's really important to note that almost nobody starts as an FDE straight out of college. This is not an entry-level gig. Most people pivot from adjacent engineering roles using a step-by-step progression. Step 1 is solidifying your technical foundation with full-stack end-to-end ownership. Step 2 involves intentionally getting some client-facing experience, maybe freelance work, consulting, or taking customer-facing rotations at your current job. Step 3 requires getting hands-on with applied AI, building real RAG apps and understanding deployment constraints. And Step 4 is mastering system design, GitOps, and navigating regulated distributed environments. Once you've built up those skills, you've got to prepare for a pretty grueling interview process. Final loops often span 4 to 6 hours over a couple of days. You're going to face a full-stack build to test your web fundamentals, so definitely practice building complete apps from scratch. You'll face system design interviews focusing heavily on real-world trade-offs and security. And perhaps most uniquely, you will face customer scenario interviews, which test your ability to perform discovery and technical decomposition. You have to practice turning vague, non-technical complaints into actionable technical roadmaps. So, let's do a quick real-time checklist. Are you actually ready for this? You need to be proficient in a major production language with full-stack and cloud experience. You need exposure to APIs and likely Kubernetes. But equally important, are you comfortable presenting to a room full of non-technical stakeholders? Can you stay completely calm when requirements shift drastically overnight? Are you genuinely willing to travel up to 75% of the time? And do you have at least 3 years of experience proving you can handle both the code and the client? Ultimately, the forward-deployed engineer role is for those who truly thrive on ambiguity and want to see their code make an immediate, tangible impact. So the final question you have to ask yourself is this. Are you ready to step out of the comfort of a perfectly scoped code base and deploy into the messy, unpredictable, high-stakes battlefield of real-world AI? Because if you are, the tech industry is desperately waiting for you. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and keep building.